La banda británica post-punk, con más de 35 años de trayectoria de Cure, ofreció una conferencia de prensa un día antes de su primer concierto en Paraguay. Los 5 integrantes de una de las bandas inglesas más influyentes y reverenciadas en el mundo del rock británico, con mucha amabilidad y buen humor, respondieron las preguntas de la prensa. Inclusive Robert Smith, con su teléfono celular, sacó algunas fotos al auditorio.
Hola.
Welcome. I'll be assisting you as your interpreter during the press conference.
Para nosotros es un honor tener a The Cure y les agradecemos el hecho de que puedan brindar un tiempo para poder compartir con la prensa paraguaya.
For us, it's an honor to have you here and to have you here. It's our pleasure.
Agradezco el valor.
Buenas tardes, good afternoon.
Yeah, good morning.
Buen día.
I think I've got a feel for the country. I think by the end of this trip around South America, I'll probably have more of an idea of what South America is really like. But individual countries and places, I mean, we don't see that much of it. We just see a lot of people, which is nice, but not very much culturally, I'm afraid.
Bueno, nosotros particularmente no podemos dar una opinión todavía porque en realidad estamos iniciando el tour acá en Sudamérica y después de 17 años no hemos tenido la oportunidad de ver lugares así per se individualmente. Entonces simplemente lo que podemos dar es una impresión acerca de las personas que han sido muy amables hasta ahora.
Bueno, muy bien. Antes de continuar, me piden por favor que paremos con las fotos para poder seguir. Muchas gracias. Continuamos con Pop Spincy, Radio Urbana.
Okay, hi, The Cure. Welcome to Paraguay. I'm Pop Spincy. Okay, let's do a little contest about how much The Cure knows about The Cure. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Un ratito, eso hay que traducir.
Okay, okay.
Ask us how much we knew about Paraguay.
Yeah,
I'm
but
really starting to sweat just
Creí que era
welcome to the jungle, baby.
Lo que el periodista le pregunta es, bueno, vamos a hacer primeramente un pequeño ejercicio de competencia, a ver cuánto The Cure conoce de la banda The Cure. Y él le responde y le dice, bueno, hoy yo creí que me iban a preguntar acerca de Paraguay, ya empecé a sudar antes de que me pregunten. Y el periodista le responde, bienvenido a la jungla.
But I do know lots about Paraguay.
Okay, but that wasn't the question.
Porque yo sé cosas de Paraguay, dice.
I do. Independence, 1811.
La independencia, 1811.
Very good. Wow. Esa no la sabía ni Frisotti, Bien.
That's it.
Ok, solo eso.
So we start the trivia right now. It's 3 songs, a little bit, okay?
I think you should be up here.
Yo creo que tú tienes que subir aquí.
No, come on. What music am I talking about?
Bueno, es una trivia de 3 músicas.
This is less a question of how well we know The Cure and how
Yes,
we can
that's
sing, isn't it?
yes.
Esto me parece que en realidad es acerca de cuánto
That's it.
nosotros
You
conocemos
see, Roger
The Cure
got it.
y lo bien que tú quieres demostrar que cantas.
Twilight Zone.
Huh?
Twilight Zone.
Twilight? No.
Twilight,
Oh,
No.
Someone ask a question that has the answer, because that's Jason.
Killing an Arrow,
Huh?
Killing.
Killing an Arab, perfect. Okay. Dum 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 dum. Slice. Dum 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 dum.
That's easy.
That's the Twilight Zone.
Esa es la zona Twilight.
It's lullaby.
Very good. Point for Roger. Now to define it is.
La última música,
That's easy as well.
muy
Come on, Roger,
fácil.
do it.
Come on, try us a little harder.
Por favor, algo más difícil.
Is this normal for a press conference?
¿Es esto normal para las conferencias de prensa?
My pajamas.
I'm sorry, but they are going to ask you normal questions. But...
You know who would have been good at this? Lowell would have been really good at this.
Okay.
That's the theme tune to University Challenge.
Esto es
Thanks, band.
This sounds like what we imagine Lowell used to hear in his head when he was playing.
Bueno, él lo que está diciendo es que el sonido que él está haciendo es más bien para traer atemorizamiento.
Any serious questions?
¿Alguna pregunta más seria, por favor?
Oh, that's it. Okay, thanks.
Muy bien, vamos a continuar con Sergio Noé del diario Última Hora. Ahí está Sergio.
Sí.
Hola. Sí, la banda telonera que va a presentarse es Deliverance.
Deliverance will be the first band that will come. Yeah, before you guys come.
Yeah.
Y yo quería preguntarle, me imagino que no, ¿verdad? Pero quería preguntarse si sabían que esta banda comenzó a tocar covers de The Cure en su carrera.
That's how they started.
¿Y cómo se sienten realmente compartir con un grupo paraguayo que toca sus temas? Y una pregunta más que sería si hay The Cure para rato.
We're gonna have the Cure for many years ahead.
I have no idea about the second question. We chose the support bands for all the shows in South America. I listened to a lot and watched a lot on the internet, and then I gave the others a choice of a short list to save them the trouble of.
La segunda pregunta no te puedo decir. Y la primera, que ellos son los que eligen los teloneros para los conciertos. Entonces justamente ellos vieron todos y ellos eligieron Deliverance para que sea el telonero para el concierto.
You've got two bands, right?
Son dos grupos que van a tocar de teloneros.
Bueno, continuamos. Ahora lo hacemos con Raúl Vega, a 1000 kilómetros del mar.
Thank you. Welcome to Paraguay.
Thank you.
It's a dream, 14th dream or whatever. What did the Cure started to support Amnesty International campaign, Mi Cuerpo, Mis Derechos? Why that campaign and why now?
Sí, primeramente queríamos preguntar, ¿desde qué momento la banda de Cure ha iniciado a apoyar en Amnistía Internacional con respecto a Mi Cuerpo y Mi Derecho? ¿Y por qué lo hace la banda y desde cuándo?
Why or when?
Why and
When? Well, we've had a long association with Amnesty over the years. We've done quite a few things for them, shows and releases. And they just came to us and asked us if we would allow them to be involved in the shows. And I think it's a very good cause. It kind of like draws attention to something which I suppose depending where you come from in the world, you take certain things for granted, certain freedoms for granted, and it's a bit of an eye-opener when you travel to places and some of those things you take for granted are actually hard won. And so it's just drawing attention to something. I mean, I'm not sure how strongly we feel as a band. It's always very difficult when you've got a band of, particularly a maturing band. I think we all hold, despite what we might say to the contrary, we all hold very similar kinds of views, and I think we classify them as libertarian, although there are one or two exceptions, So that's why it's hard to politicise a band like The Cure, because I think from a very early age, I personally wanted the group to be something that was otherworldly. I didn't really want it to be a political band. So although we all hold very strong political views, and I think individually support Amnesty to a greater or lesser extent, as a band, Amnesty is one of the few organisations that I feel comfortable with aligning ourselves with, because I can't think of anything they do that as a band that we would disagree with. So, they're a very fair and righteous and good organisation. I hope there'll probably be like an awful scandal going to break about Amnesty funds tomorrow. But no, it's a good campaign. It's like we get asked for a lot of involvement from different people. You can't really fill the entire venue with NGOs. Although we did a tour in 2004 in North America called the Curiosa Tour, and we kind of did that. We took loads and loads of people with us, and and that was a bit more of a kind of an event thing. This was just a kind of a low-key thing. They put their people in on the ground and they talk to the people who are coming through the door, and it's a good thing. It's a good campaign.
I'm a member too.
Be here all day. Does anyone not get it?
Bueno, lo que dice es que primeramente nosotros como banda, primeramente queremos aclarar, nosotros, ellos quisieron estar relacionados comunes, y nosotros como banda muchas veces cuando vamos por sentado, y nosotros queríamos aportar desde nuestros apoyar, por lo tanto nosotros hemos abierto esa posibilidad en el 2004 en Estados Unidos, que fue más bien un evento de beneficencia. Pero así también nosotros no queremos organizaciones no gubernamentales, otras organizaciones no gubernamentales. Queremos siempre mantener nuestras ideas establecidas en base a los sentidos, al sentido.
I guess that.
Would you like to sign a share for activists?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
You have to show what is it about first.
Señorita de Amnistía Internacional quiere que firme para poner
This is a plan. It says meat is murder or something.
My body, my rights.
El líder de la agrupación, que tras 17 años retornó a Sudamérica, también habló sobre las redes sociales, a las que considera una pérdida de tiempo. Confesó además que no puede creer que luego de 30 años sigan juntos como banda.
And why don't you like social
Social media.
Yeah, social media.
That's two kind of like disparate questions, right?
Son dos preguntas muy distintas.
I learned, when I learned guitar when I was very, very young, I learned sort of chords, really basic stuff, and then I had a very brief period learning, but my right hand is really shit, and so I couldn't do it. So I went back to find, I come from a generation that, as I alluded to earlier, like the otherworldly thing. I like the idea of mystery in art. I don't like everything being laid out, and I see myself, the only way that I'm a public figure, or that we're public figures, is when we're performing. I don't feel the need to communicate other than when I'm performing. I don't know. I don't find myself that interesting. That's really the honest answer. I think like my views are my own views. They change sometimes, and I'm kind of like, I'm indecisive about certain things, and I don't have any great insight into, if I knew the answers to things, I'd be tweeting away, but it's just, I'd just be adding to the general junk, so there's no point. I just don't bother with it, I've kind of come from a generation that has, without sounding patronising, it's like, I'm not used to looking at a screen. I don't know how to put it otherwise. I find if I want to talk to people, I talk to them, and I don't feel that. Even now, I find it very strange. I mean, this is strange, sitting here and talking to a room full of people. It's really odd. And social media is kind of this times 10,000. It's like you're communicating with like loads of people you don't know on a subject. It's just really kind of weird, I think.
Bueno, lo que estaba diciendo con respecto primero a ya que tenía dificultades en su mano derecha. Entonces.
I would have a caveat is that I think as a medium for a band to communicate, I think I'm not against technology at all. I think it's a really good thing. It can be used really well, but I suppose I'm thinking a bit more in terms of like personal interaction with people. I have no desire to do this really. I love singing, but doing this is kind of just a weird part of our job. But I think it's impossible for me to have heard the various bands, and decided who was up there, people's Facebook sites and stuff. So in certain ways,
no es que estamos en contra de las redes sociales, sino que soy yo solamente.
Just one more last thing.
Una cosa más.
With the doing this, there will be inevitably in the old days there'd be a whole raft of misquotes, and some of them would be really funny, some of them would be really annoying. Now this would probably be straight up on the internet, so it won't need to be translated backwards and forwards. But there is the temptation, when obviously if I'm reading things about the band in particular, or things I'm supposed to have said, I feel sometimes like an almost overwhelming desire to correct it, And to go online and say, that's not what I said, I meant this. But then I'm drawn into that world of worrying about stuff. And in the old days, I think, like, so fucking what? You know, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't stop the world turning. So it's to resist that idea that, like, I think I would become, you know, because of the way that I am, I would become obsessed in correcting everything and making sure that, you know, that's what I mean about, like, my message, that it was all there. So in a way, I just think what you want. It doesn't really matter, you know. It's like I refuse to be drawn into that world where you kind of engage in the back and forth with people about what was said, what wasn't said. Did you mean this? Did you mean that? All that stuff. It's just like life's too short. It really is. At my age, life is way too short to do that kind of thing. So you know, I'd rather read a book. That's just translate that bit. I'd rather read a book than anything.
Ok, lo que está diciendo Robert es, bueno, por ejemplo, dice, bueno, acá tenemos intérpretes, ¿verdad? Esto va a ir en el idioma de ustedes, ¿verdad? Y bueno, si yo, cuando yo lo lea, yo generalmente, las interpretaciones que le dan a los mensajes que yo envío, generalmente son distorsionadas, y tengo que estar constantemente, porque soy obsesivo y quiero estar constantemente corrigiendo, yendo y viniendo. Por lo tanto, él considera eso una pérdida de tiempo. La vida es corta, todos los mensajes que yo doy son claros y sin embargo, por algún motivo, eso se distorsiona en algún momento. Por lo tanto, cualquier cosa que se está diciendo, yo establezco siempre pautas claras. Y lo que quiero simplemente dejar el mensaje es de que a mí me parece un fastidio.
All things going well, I'll be on stage in Mexico City.
Si todo sale bien, estaremos en el escenario en México, en la Ciudad de México.
Muy bien, seguimos con Abelardo Cárdenas, de Canal 13.
Tengo un presente de todos los fanáticos de Paraguay, bueno, de Canal 13, de MQM, se llama Sombrero 13, de que se pongan cada uno para que posen para los fanáticos. ¿Acerco?
No.
¿Sí? ¿Se puede?
Ninguna posibilidad.
No, y por lo menos que acepten.
Tengo un sombrero en mi vida, por lo tanto no podremos hacer eso. Pero sí aceptar el regalo.
Thank you very much.
Dale,
Muchas gracias.
Wonderful, but very
¿Le gustó mi look?
present, I would suggest.
¿Qué tal mi look? ¿Bien?
How do you look?
¿Cómo tú te ves?
¿Me parezco a ti? ¿Me parezco a vos?
Try the hat, put the hat on.
Por favor, ponte el sombrero.
Okay, I'm Robert Smith.
Are we missing something?
No.
That's better.
Very well?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You see, how come there's no one in the room wearing one of those hats you want me to put on? Come on.
Bueno, acá no llueve mucho, entonces no te puedo usar algo
Oh,
así.
sorry, there is.
Allí hay uno. En Inglaterra no es muy común usar sombreros.
Continuamos.
Buenas. La prensa de Brasil, ustedes fueron asaltados en su país, ¿eso es verdad?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the past. Yeah, it's true.
Bueno, en el pasado, muy
It's
atrás,
kind of true. We weren't assaulted. We were.
fuimos casi asaltados.
There was an attempt.
Fue un atentado
An attempt to steal from us.
de querer robarnos
But
algo.
it didn't colour our opinion or love for Brazil.
Pero eso no cambió nuestra opinión o amor hacia Brasil.
I wasn't there.
Yo no estuve allí.
I personally wasn't there because it was Simon, Roger, and Jason because Reeves and I travelled from Rio to Sao Paulo by bus, so we travelled separately on that trip.
Entonces,
So it happened when we went there, so I don't have no idea about anything.
You
Do you have a
ever?
hat?
Huh? What? I don't hear
Si
you.
queremos sombrero.
I don't wear
No.
anything. Lo que pasa es que nosotros no queremos decir lo que sucede porque eso le quita misterio al concierto que nosotros estamos preparando. No sabemos qué puede pasar en el escenario. En el escenario es algo que nosotros vamos sí preparando un repertorio de 40.
Out of things that you want to do. I mean, I haven't run out of things I want to do. But I think you have to accept your limitations. I know that sounds a bit odd, but I think after the amount of time that we've been doing this, I know what I'm good at and what I'm not so good at. And playing violin and cello is not going to happen. You know, trust me, I've tried different instruments. I'm not that good on the guitar. It's very unlikely I'm going to pick something else up and start playing wonderful music. So, no, I mean, you have ambitions in different areas. You know, there are things that I'd like to do that are not to do with music, you know. But they're kind of private. personal thing. So I mean, with the group, with the Cure, it's achieved much more than I ever thought it would. You know, I would never have guessed that. It would be slightly insane to have any more ambition.
Bueno, para empezar, lo que él dice es, yo creo que como persona nunca nos acaba. Como banda, ahora no puedo creer que luego de 30 años sigamos sentados aquí juntos. Sueños particularmente de manera individual, pero son sueños. Tocar el violonchelo, creo que eso ya no lo voy a poder hacer. Ya es
el tiempo aquí como parte de su música.
That's an unanswerable question. You don't know, do you? The true test of art is time, and the artist never knows. You know, that's for others to judge. Personally, I think that a lot of what we've done has been really good. If I was to be able to go back and change anything, I wouldn't change anything at all. So I think whatever period the Cure's, you know, whatever the lineup, whatever album we've been making, whatever shows we've been playing, pretty much most of the time we've tried really, really hard to make it good. So, you know, there have been one or two less good periods, I suppose, over the 30 odd years, but generally I think it's really, you know, it's good. I think overall people just respond to that more than anything else. I think people respond to the fact that what we do is genuine. It's just, you know, there's no real artifice, even though a lot of how we're presented, I often find it mystifies me. You know, I mean, I've always said it, if I had like orange curly hair and freckles, at some point if we were like a big band, then people would be in the audience trying to, you know, looking like Ronald McDonald. God, I hope there's no one there. I haven't looked around it. But it's that. So I mean, you know, it's. I think over a period of time, people get used to like you look in a certain way, and that becomes all part of it. So it becomes this image thing kind of, and sometimes that gets in the way. You know, the image of the Cure, because I think we play in so many different styles. Over the years, we play so many different kinds of music that. Now I find that in order to kind of like say, oh, it's the Cure, it refers to these really basic things like, you know, what I look like and stuff. I think the legacy of the Cure.
Respuesta corta, sí, he encontrado, esta mañana estuvimos dando vueltas y he encontrado hermosos árboles y realmente los árboles más hermosos que he visto hasta ahora.
How was that experience for you to change the band and to fit into the Cure?
Sabemos que ustedes vienen.
It was a long time ago for me. I first played with the Cure in 1987. Just after they played in Brazil, so I can't really remember what happened yesterday. So.
Realmente es hace demasiado. Demasiado tiempo. Imagínense que la primera vez que toqué con la banda de Cure fue en 1987. Wow, es mucho tiempo y.
No, it's more like wow.
Wow. Okay, wow. Entonces, imagínense, yo no me acuerdo ni cómo me sentía ayer, o sea.
Well, I met Robert at
met Robert?
The David Bowie birthday show, his 50th birthday show, and then I met the rest of the band not long after that, and it was basically the same band as now. So it didn't seem like a strange thing. It is a little odd that I'm American, I think. Not so odd for me as it might be for them. But yeah, I am. Yeah. But no, I didn't find it strange at all or odd to fit in. It was like a new pair of shoes. It was the right size, but and this is from my point of view. I'm sure other people in the band might have other opinions, but now it actually feels like an old pair of shoes.
A tocar cuando era en la celebración de cumpleaños y en este momento en realidad lo que más bien lo extraño puede ser de que yo soy y ellos dicen lo contrario, pero fue como comprar.
Quedamos con Vanessa Figueredo de epa.com.
Sí, tenemos planes.
We need tour guides.
Necesitamos.
What about a bar? In a park.
¿Y cómo podría ser un bar en un parque? ¿Podría ser?
Any?
¿Algún lugar de bar en un parque? In my backyard.
We can make one.
He can say in my backyard.
Bien, de esta manera finalizamos la conferencia de prensa. Nuevamente, le pido a la gente de One to One agradecerles el tiempo a la banda.
Yes, we want to thank you for your time, for being here.
Oh, thank you all very much for coming and asking these questions.
Muchas gracias por venir y por preguntar estas
I
preguntas.
hope you enjoy the show tomorrow.
Espero que disfruten el show mañana.
El reconocido productor y director de videos, Tim Pope, acompañó a The Cure en la gira para documentar las presentaciones en Sudamérica. Expresó que jamás en su vida vio árboles tan hermosos como en Asunción.
¿Qué decimos en Paraguay? ¿Decimos cheese? Whisky. We say in Paraguay whiskey.
It works, huh?
Do you know any word in Spanish?
Yeah.
Have you learned it?
Yes, lots.
Guarani?
Sí, ¿conocen alguna palabra en español? Sí. ¿Y en Guarani? Do you know any word in Guarani?
Guarani? No.
En Guarani no.
Can you say
I know that.
¿Podrían, can you try?
Wife is from Paraguay.
Can you try one? Would you like to try one Guarani word?
What? Try one what?
They want to teach you one Guarani word. Like,
Yeah, what's that?
Bueno, muchísimas gracias.
Hola.
like a greeting in Spanish.
Okay.
Sombrero.
It's like I love you Paraguay, but in Guarani, which is Rojaihu,
Lo Haihu.
Paraguay.
I remember